the citizens of America, the people who live in these cities, they get it. So while progressive politicians may not, and I'm always careful. I try not to provide political advice to the left.
Sure.
I'm not well situated to do that. But common sense would tell you that public safety, so that your kids can go walk to school and not worry that they're going to get mugged, so that you and your friends can go out and have a glass of wine at a bar, or you can go out with your husband and have dinner, and you can feel like I can go to my car, I can park in the parking garage, I can get in, and I don't have to worry. That's probably fantastic politics, but I know for sure that it's really good policy. It'll lead to economic prosperity. Restaurants, local establishments will be more successful. All good things flow from this. And so when I hear these progressives,
no back to basics and no sacrifice of development and human rights to what is indeed an important and core mission of the UN, which is peace and security. There was a clear consensus that this is not to do less, it is to do more with more efficiency. And being fully anchored in the Charter, UN80 must fully respect the equilibrium between the three pillars of the organization: peace and security, development, and human rights. One thing is clear. We are totally committed to do this. This is something that we want to do in close cooperation with member states, respecting the ownership of member states, and working to make proposals that member states will be able to consider and will be able, based on them, to take the bold decisions that we all.
Okay, finally, there's a report that the Biafra Constitution has hit the United Nations, just like what Netanyahu and other world leaders are clamoring for the recognition and the independence of the Biafra nation. And let's not forget that last year, the Biafra Constitution, came out and there were debatation. But finally, it has hit the UN. What is your take as regards this Constitution finally hitting the United Nations under the TRF?
That's formalization, official formalization of the coming of Biafra. The United Nations want to formalize the coming of Biafra, whether it is going to come from them, whether it's going to come through executive order, whatever way, it has gotten to the United Nations now, and the people who are, powering it, are different advocates groups, linked to United Nations and other, international communities, including the AU, are also involved. And don't forget that the likes of Donta Gonta, and Gilarus and other Masangadan, yes, they are pushing a lot of things. But finally, this one has actually sketched through because the United Congressmen seems to be directly involved. Already, they have elected the United Nations through the American female singer, Nicki Minaj, who presented the issue of genocide to the United Nations. So what the United Nations? Let me just explain very clearly that the reason for the presentation of the Biafran Constitution officially to the United Nations is to them to understand that they do not have right to our national process of the Constitution, but to show them clearly that Biafrans will play according to domestic law that embodies the human rights. What it means is that, that Biafra will be a nation of human rights. That Biafra will be a nation of law. That Biafra will be a nation of where everybody, anywhere you come from, you are sure of being protected. That Biafra will respect the charter attached to human life, right and protection. So so the constitution aspect, that's actually what triggered them heading to United Nations. Please, we don't have right to our constitution, our processes is a national issue, but we can tell you that what we are saying here as a template of the Biafran constitution, it will actually protect the domestic law, protect treaties, protect agreements, protect boundaries and territorial waters of the Biafran land in connection or in association with other treaties of the international community or friendly nations of Biafra. So it is one of the reasons why the General Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, seems to have received in good faith, has been reported, and the matter has been officially acknowledged by the United Nations agency in that regard. Whoever that is involved because that's actually a breaking news and a very quick one, that United Nations was able to accept that, acknowledge that, because there has been series of attack on the United Nations recently. Some are even calling that it should be totally disbanded because they were not actually playing their role. If actually the United Nations is actually playing their role, the issue of Biafra wouldn't have gotten to this level. The issue of sentencing nnamdikanu wouldn't have gotten to this level. They would have, in one way, intervened in the process of, attacking one's fundamental human rights, attacking one's right to freedom, self-determination, has been proclaimed in the United Nations Charter, But if I say that the United Nations have lost in their responsibility in terms of, conflict resolutions. They've not been able to do that, So this one is just like a wake-up call. Maybe there's a reawakening within the structures of United Nations now to start actually playing their role, and that role we need to start with the presence and acknowledgement that the Biafran Constitution has officially been, acknowledged by United Nations, has been reported. And that shows that the Biafra as a nation is going to abide by human rights and domestic law, where everyone will be treated equal, irrespective of your religion.
Are we not getting to in Nigeria? Some say,
are we not getting? If you say that we are getting it here in Nigeria, there might be a lot of reservation and doubt whether Nigeria is actually a nation or a country. Like former president of Nigeria, Bele Goodluck, said it very clearly, that if things are not done well in just no time, Nigeria will automatically, unofficially break up and come to an end. That is Goodluck Jonathan. And he's sending that message directly to the leaders of the country. Remember, Goodluck Jonathan was also a victim, and Nigeria have no human rights record anywhere in the world. That's why the international community is chasing the nation up and down, because they seem to have lost and do not understand that they were signatories of so many treaties with the United Nations, and they have not been able to keep their own part of that deal. And unfortunately, we saw it very clearly. nnamdikanu is a reference point to the abuse of power, abuse of one's fundamental rights, abuse of one's self-quest for self-determination, which is also a UN recognized policy that people have right to seek for self-determination, and it is not seen as being a treason. Because the international law, controls the national law. Yes, so I do not know where. That's why they're asking James Omotosho, where is the law? In a nation where somebody is asking that kind of question, what does it mean? It shows you that they have lost human rights, values. They have become too corrupt. They have become tyrannical, empirical, temperous. and the leadership in that kind of a nation cannot be seen to be a nation anymore. Neither can it be understood to be a country anymore. So it has become a first state barrier nation. And the only way out is what is happening now, that there is a certain push in different angle now that Nigeria should be officially pronounced a first state. And in that regard, call for total disintegration of all the component parts that make Nigeria. For instance, the Biafra. And that is the reason. Nigeria has no human rights record anytime, any day. But this is a nation that thrives in nepotism, tribalism, oppression and suppression, and exposing, their legitimacy to corruption. So it is not a nation. It is not a country. And the world in this AI era is looking for a nation with a country. That's a different thing. It has to be a nation first before you become a country. Nigeria is neither a nation nor a country. Go ask Goodluck Jonathan. And that's what he's saying. So we have lost relevance in all ramifications. And it has gotten to the point that, even our own political structures, our own political parties are being seen as terrorist organizations. So where is the nationhood there? And you can look at the international community too. The whole world seems to be against Nigeria because of their part in terrorism. How can a nation completely become a terror against herself, and you call that nation a nation that enjoys human rights? It cannot be. And it will never be. So, and that's why it is very clear, that it has become to a point that the world leaders are now standing up and are now saying, remember that this thing have lingered for over 60 decades now. And I can tell you, in 1953, the Biafrans started dying in Nigeria till today. Till date. So, anybody that is telling you that it just started, no, the agenda did not start today. It comes in phases, but it has become very clearly, that the conquest agenda has taken a political angle, has taken an arm swing to make sure that nothing stopped them from achieving that core agenda to totally. Because if you look at Nigeria today, the reason why there is killing, the reason why there's terrorism is because of the Biafrans. Nothing more. It's simple. There'll be peace. To Islamize them. There's nothing more. That is all. That's the reason why nnamdikanu is in Sokoto. That's why Finland is battling. They are conscious now on simonekpa. And that is the truth. So the United Nations have done well, do that verification, let it go through processes, let them acknowledge and sign a memorandum of understanding declaring that this constitution has a human face and the Biafran constitution will be able to protect domestic law and protect human rights. And that's why that was acknowledgement came from the United Nations, sending a direct signal to the international community and to the global world, including Nigeria, that all is set for the pronouncement of the first Jewish black nation in Africa.
But do you think the North can do without the Biafrans? If the country actually divides, do you think that they can do actually without Biafra? Because I've heard one of their leaders saying, let them divide this country, that they can do well on their own. But why do you think that they are still very hesitant to allow Biafran?
Yes, because nobody taught the Biafrans expertise after the war. We are not taught by the British. We are not taught by anybody. Nobody Nobody taught us after the war, expertise, what they're saying today. The ingenuity of an Igbo man, nobody taught them. Nobody. They should also go and start their own. Now to find out whether it's easy after the war, losing everything and came home, we'll start all over again with all sorts of things. And this is a clear advice. I wonder was the one who advised Gowon to carry out this mission. Very clearly. No, you can't tell me that. Yes, we survived. Holocaust. Pogroms. They have to learn, and if they get it, so be it. How? They have resources there, but there are too comfort. They are bent on taking the resources that don't belong to them. That is why. If they can survive, okay. If they cannot, okay. But they are trying to go through the back door and make Obi president of Nigeria to appeal and appease the Igbos. But I don't think that is not possible anymore because it's very late. It's not about restructuring anymore. It's about total breakup from Nigeria. The era of referendum has gone. All those era have gone. When the South, we are begging the North. But now, the South begs no more because they have been pushed to the wall. And the whole world have seen it. That this is clear acts of injustice. Let them play around Peter Obi 2027 and hand over power to them. We are calling on the international community not to look back, not to be compromised, not to be deceived with 2027 Igbo presidency and go ahead and proclaim independent state of Biafra. The reason is, at that point, and these people regroup, what do you think will be the end of Christians in Nigeria? Thank you.